Or before Super Cab, 46,590 with 0% financing available. Built for comfort, service, and ready.
I'm Alan Beauchamp, the host of Between the Lines, back after a couple of weeks of being promised knee surgery and then not being able to get it. So I'm going to be here this week, and I'm going to be here next week, and then Wendy will be back for a couple of weeks, and then hopefully after 3 or 4 weeks after a replacement, I'll come back in, and if I have to prop my leg, we'll do whatever we got to do. But we've got scheduled shows now for the next 6 weeks. We're rolling. We got a lot going on. But nothing more important than paying your taxes. We are in the season. W-2s are out. Every 1099s are out. And there's a lot of changes in the tax code. And I brought an expert to talk about it. And everybody messes up your name. It's Lee, it's Leah, but it's Leah Ann Sanders.
It's Lee Ann Sanford.
But you got an A in it?
I do.
It's still Lee.
Still Lee.
But how would you say Leah would have an H maybe? I don't know. So it's Lee Ann.
I answered
Sanford.
or whatever.
Okay, it's not that. You don't know half of it. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is, first let's start by telling me just basically what you do. You do taxes, you do payroll. First of all, Lee Ann is located in Jackson Square. Any of you know the famous Mike Ritter? She's right there in that same column where all those little, what would you call them, cottages?
Yeah, they're little brick buildings.
Yeah. When you're coming down Tennessee and you see the tennis courts on your left, they're in those little brick buildings right there. And she has a tremendous reputation. And I'm tired of TurboTax. I'm done. So I've gotten a lot more business and I've got a lot more to do. So I'm really glad to do business with her. And all my friends have referred from Knoxville and every area. So she's here tonight to help us understand changes. Because we're going to do all that. But first, we'll get to know her a little bit. So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Jamestown, New York.
Western
New York, just south of
And you were
Buffalo.
telling me that's where Lucy Ball was?
Lucille Ball is from our area.
And Desi was from Cuba, so that, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the National Comedy Center is in my hometown now.
Because of Lucy?
Yes, because of Lucy.
Yeah.
Yep. So we've got a whole big compound there. They do shows and
Where
all
is
kinds
it
of
in
good
location
stuff.
of the rest of the state? Where is it?
It's in Western New York.
I thought so.
My parents' house is about 15 minutes from Lake Erie and the Pennsylvania state line.
And folks, let me tell you, I had a business in Cleveland, and we went up to Erie with stuff. I had a warehouse in Pittsburgh, and you go straight north. Cleveland's bad enough, because if you haven't, I had season tickets, and I would be in Cleveland, and the wind coming off that water, forget about it.
Yep.
But you go up to Erie, now we got another 3 feet of snow everywhere, and it doesn't go away.
Yes.
And that's some of the coldest areas I've ever been in. We used to drive from Pittsburgh, Meadville, you start getting snow. You go the other way, Cleveland, and with Cleveland you got to come up like this, but you live all the way up above all of that.
Yeah, well,
you're above Erie in New York.
Yeah, the town that they
Buffalo,
always show.
between Erie and Buffalo?
Yep, the town that they always show the pictures of with all the buried, the tons of snow everywhere. That's actually my hometown.
So you were glad to get out of there.
Oh yeah, I was out. It was time to go.
So okay, so you're growing up. You're growing up in Jamestown. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
What happened? You graduated from high school.
Graduated from high school, kind of drifted around a little bit, trying to decide what I wanted to do when I grew up. And my grandparents had brought me to Sevier County when I was a kid.
Isn't that nice?
Dolly, yeah, 11,
'Cause
12
you're
years
young.
old.
You're in your 40s, so that wasn't that long ago.
No, it was Silver Dollar City, I think. When we
already
went.
converted,
Yeah.
so it was early 90s or
Yeah,
something?
it was early 90s.
Okay.
And I always wanted to live here. So,
You know, my good friend who grew up with me, Charlie Ergen, who lives in the Rocky Mountain now, he's the president and CEO of Dish. He always said there's only two places I'd ever live. One's the Smoky Mountains and one's the Rocky Mountains.
Yep.
And it is beautiful.
It is. And I fell in love with it at 11 or 12 years old. And 2 days after my 21st birthday, I moved down here.
Did you straight in, huh?
Yep. I said, I'm just going to go.
And you did?
So, yep,
Okay.
I did. And
Okay, so you came down here.
Yep.
And when did you start being an accountant?
I've always dabbled in accounting. It was just something I always did. Every job I've ever had kind of cornerstoned on that at some point. My grandmother, my mom's mom, my grandma Swanson, was an accountant. It's just kind of in my genes, I think.
I always wanted to do it because I thought it was so neat to analyze things and do data, but I just didn't have the patience for it. I'm more of a marketing business strategy guy, and I just details are crippling for me sometimes. But my son is very good at it. He's only junior high school, but he's very focused and like most of his generation, a little more introverted. They live on phones, so phones kind of same kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You're always doing that, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Me, I'm more of a crayon guy. Crayola would be my form of writing in accounting. Tell her, Connor. And Lee's son is here today. He works with you.
Yes, he does.
And we thank him for his service. He was in the Navy the last 4 years and just got out. Four?
Yep. Four.
Okay. That's what normal service would be. And I have a lot of friends that went into the Navy. I got high-ranking friends in the service in Washington and other places. So it's military is a lot more popular than it was when I was young in the 70s and 80s when coming out of Vietnam was tougher. And I'm just so glad that we've kind of warmed up to that and understand the importance of what those individuals do, both men and women.
Yep.
All right, so when's the first time, so you dabbled in it, did you get any education or did you just go to work?
I went to work and then realized after I had my second child.
That's not Connor?
No, I have a daughter who's 16. After I had my second child, I realized that in accounting, the piece of paper matters. So I went back.
That's right.
I got my bachelor's degree, worked on it through being a single mom, raising the kids, working full time, all the things. And then eventually got my master's degree in accountancy. Wow. So I spent about 5 or 6 years with no sleep and on the sidelines.
You liked it. You liked
I love
study.
it. Yeah.
So I went through 18 hours. I did cost and I did, microeconomics, did some stuff like that. And then I was gone back to political science and psychology. But I liked it. I mean, I liked it. It was good because you get really understand adjustments and stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of a floating business because the laws change. Yeah.
Well, that's the hard part. Is the taxation part is the most difficult part. It's a moving target, and they can roll out laws. The president can pen out laws, and it's you got to wait for the IRS to put them into code before we know how to interpret them or what to do with them.
Well, that's right,
so,
and I
that
think
makes it difficult.
Yeah, and I think. I started working in the late 70s, and, tax laws didn't really change till Reagan in 86.
Yeah.
I can remember when you could write off consumer, and rates were high.
Yeah.
30, 40, 50%. But you could write everything off.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing. Credit card interest.
Yeah.
They just wiped it all out. But they lowered the rates. He got the rates down, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And that was kind of a different situation. Yeah. And then, everybody gets on Donald Trump, but I'll be honest with you. I thought the 24,000, I can't find anybody under 50,000 has to pay taxes. So I thought it was kind of a pro-working class bill. It really didn't benefit the wealthy at all in a lot of ways. I mean, with different rates. So, but in the background, I kind of get all of that, and I see where we're at. So, do you find that accounting's more tedious now than it was? Are the requirements more tedious now, or were they more tedious 12 to 15 years ago? Have we simplified anything?
The taxes are a little bit more tedious now. Accounting is accounting. It's hasn't really ever changed much as far as the bookkeeping and whatnot. You have the little changes in, the meals and expenses.
With the reporting, too.
Oh, the reporting.
Do they require more now, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. I mean,
Simplified 1040 helped a lot of people.
Yeah. And if you work in public accounting and versus corporate accounting, like, the big dogs, the publicly traded companies, I wouldn't want to work at one of those and deal with all of those regulations. But out in
individuals
my world,
don't face that,
it's not. Yeah, it's not terrible.
Okay, tell me. what's the big changes? And we'll go over them, but what's the big changes for this year? Give me the 2 or 3 biggest changes.
So the big change is going to be the reduction in the child tax credits.
Yeah.
That's been really painful for people who are used to getting significant tax returns back, and B, don't understand the difference between last year, 2021, and the 2022 tax season and the change in those.
You've been very good at explaining that to me. So if you filed taxes last spring, a year ago on your 21 year, and you have 2 kids, you got $3,600 a child. So your tax bill had $7,200 taken off of it.
Yeah.
The year before it was $2,000.
Yep.
And now it's gone back down.
To 2,000.
So no matter what you've got, you're going to make less, $1,600 less a child.
Yeah, exactly. And
you don't withhold for that.
Yeah, and in 2020 they were getting the stimulus payments as well. They got a couple of stimulus payments. Was
out of control.
There was just money coming from all directions, and that's turned off really quickly in 2022.
And I know nobody wants to hear this, but I really have some sympathy for the Internal Revenue Service because
I do too.
The federal government and the COVID and everything. I mean, I haven't been able, when I call for something, I haven't been able to get a human being in 18 months. They just, and it's not their fault.
No.
I mean, they just don't have any workers. And I got a kick out of they're going to hire 84,000 people. Which, being a marketing guy and a PR guy, that's not the way you promote it.
No.
You promote it 3 per office or 2 per this. Yes. You don't say we're hiring 84,000 people to come after you. But and they need some customer service help.
They do. Yeah, they do.
I don't trust the targeting mechanisms. Mm-hmm. Nobody does.
No.
But I think the average person is very hardworking, has a lot. And I've never had anybody in the Internal Revenue Service be anything but nice to me.
No, I haven't
in 20
either.
years, they're always nice.
They're always very nice, and additional customer service reps would be so nice for the average people who just want to understand.
Make a phone call.
They just want to call. Hey, I got this letter. What does this mean? What do I do with it? So, and even we can't get a hold of the IRS right now. I mean, I haven't been able to get someone on the phone there.
And I'm sure, to be fair, the advantages of that are you got even 3 times less advantage of being audited.
Yes.
I mean, if you make less than $100,000 and you make a mistake, you're probably not going to have to account for it. Honest mistake. But the bottom line is when you have detailed Schedule Cs and you own 2 other companies and you do this and your income is $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, you've got to be good at it. You got to be accurate.
Yep.
And tell us how it works. Like, we send down everything automated. What percentage of returns are manual? 5%?
Mine?
No, anybody's.
Oh, anybody's? Oh, gosh, probably even less than that.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, they don't want those returns with paper.
The IRS does.
No, they don't want those.
I sent one because somebody stole an identity last year, which you're aware of.
Yeah.
And I sent birth certificates, everything else. They just processed the check and ran.
Yeah.
I didn't hear again from them.
Yeah.
We'll see this year if it works.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, it's time to take a break. I'm getting yelled at. Okay, so let's take a break. Thank our sponsors. We'll be right back to talk about child tax credits and withholding.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
It's terrible. We're back. Leanne Sanders is talking to us about taxes, and boy, she knows her stuff. But okay, let's go to child tax credits. You guys got to understand. First of all, what age do you get a child tax credit to?
So up to, they've got to be under the age of 19 and not a student, or under the age of 24 and still a student.
That's a deduction though, isn't it?
It is, yes. Well, you get the credit.
You get the full income tax credit?
They phase out the...
Oh, they phase it out?
Yeah, they phase it out.
I was always under the impression that you can't, after 17, you can't do it. But I guess, so I can take my son up to 18?
Yep, up to 18, and then up to 24 if they're a student.
Oh, I'll put him in school doing something.
We'll make that happen.
We need that. We're going to make it happen. All right, so, but don't expect as much on your child tax credits, unfortunately. And a credit is the amount that comes off your bill,
Correct.
not a deduction, which
Exactly.
would reflect 20% or whatever. Expiration of the charitable donation deduction that allowed for $300 or $600, even if you didn't itemize. I didn't know you could do that.
Yep, that was last year, 2021, they did that.
First time?
No, I believe they did it in 2020 as well.
So,
But it was short term. It was very short lived.
But what happened under the new tax plan with Trump was basically under the Trump administration, which I think was very fair, but basically we went from a base of you're married filing jointly. If you have deductions of 24,000 or less, there's no reason to itemize. You're going to get that.
Correct. Yeah.
This year it goes up to 25,900.
Yep.
Social Security went way up, 8%. Mine went up 8%.
Yeah, they did a pretty good COLA on those.
And 12.95 is single, which is basically half, right?
Yes, basically half.
That's
And then
fair.
head of household is 19.4. So if you're a single parent, you get 19,400 for head of household.
And here's a special. If your child is legally classified as disabled,
Correct.
or some kind of other impairment, you can stay on that forever, right?
Yes.
That's what impacts a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Yes, it does.
Who can do this. Okay.
Yep.
So like in companies, when you're dealing with companies, do you do company taxes too?
I do, yes.
That's a little more tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be a little bit more tricky. The bulk of what I do for companies, I've got a couple that are partnerships where they each get a 10 or a K1.
Okay.
That's the bulk of what I do for the smaller companies, the Schedule Cs. Most of what I do is going to be individual sole proprietors who have a Schedule C. That's really been the bulk of what I've seen come through. I've got a couple of S corps, but most of what I've got Schedule C stuff and partnerships.
And I had an S corp 20, 30 years ago, and the laws changed on it. I mean, it was a liability is why we had them.
Yeah.
We needed them for liability, but it was basically a proprietorship with a label, with a tag on it in that situation. So I'm getting in there. Tell us about W-4s. What is a W-4?
So the W-4 is the form that you fill out for your employer, that you give them your name, your address, your social security number, and what you would like withheld. What you qualify for is withholding. And how you fill that form out determines how much taxes are going to take out.
The form is changing.
Well,
I looked at one the other day, and the old days was pretty simple.
Yeah.
You want 1, you want 2, you want 4. Now it's all over the place.
It is. And I'll be honest, I mean, that form is just as hard for us accountants as it is the regular people.
When you're trying to figure out how much to withhold?
Yeah. When you're reading that form, it's 3-4 pages long. You've got questions. You've got checkbox. It's just a lot.
But all the information's on the first page. You just got to read to get there.
Yes,
right?
You got to read to get there. The important thing to do when thinking about your withholding is look at your paycheck and calculate. If you divide the taxes that they've withheld, your federal withholding tax, by your gross income for that paycheck, that's going to give you the percentage that they're withholding.
And you really need to be in a 10-plus rate.
Yes.
Because you're going to get some deductions that even things that.
Yeah.
But to expect not to have to pay more, you're going to be at a 10 to 12% rate. Unless your income is $300,000, then you need to be at a 20 to 25% rate.
Yeah, anywhere from 8 to 10%. With,
of course, you're paying 7.5 Social Security too.
Yeah. You've got Social Security and Medicare. 1.45.
Wow.
Social Security 6.2 and Medicare
same as it's always been.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you think about people that say there's a big rush? Of course, you can't believe anything you see on Twitter.
Yeah.
Do we need to increase Social Security? I mean, maybe that's a government question, but et cetera, et cetera. When's the last time you saw Social Security go? I haven't seen it go up.
No, they did a reduction after 2008. They reduced it for the employees only for a little while.
That's
and
right.
Then they brought it back. But I haven't seen it change in my lifetime. Not that I remember.
I think the limit's changed, but the percentage hasn't.
Yeah, the limit changes every year. After a certain dollar amount, you don't have to.
So if we put all that together, what you're saying to me is make sure you withhold enough to cover your tax bill.
Yes.
Or you're going to be sitting down with me in the spring saying, what happened?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to, And look at your paycheck stubs. I think that's probably the number one conversation that I have with people when they say, well, they didn't withhold enough. You didn't look at your paycheck stub. You have a whole year to fix that. Look at your paycheck stubs.
And, you can also do one other thing. I mean, not everybody's in a position to do this, but you can have extra withheld. Like if it's November 15th, you can withhold the next triplet, whatever you want to do, extra 400, extra 500, try to get assessment. Time to get with your accountant or whoever does it is not in January, February. It's to get organized and make sure you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you make under $60,000 a year, one person, or $100,000 as a couple, it's not a lot to do.
No,
in my opinion, it's not a lot to do. You're going to be okay.
Yeah, as long as you filled out your W-4 correctly, and you're having taxes withheld, you're going to be all right. There's not a lot going on there.
Yeah, it could be 100 or two, couple hundred either way. That's exactly right. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, what qualifies as a dependent? I have taxes. We're going to ask Lee, what qualifies as a dependent? In other words, if I have my cousin, I had two. Let me say, my wife's little brother, half brother, and sister lived with us, and we had to go through, and they did qualify.
You have to go through the testing.
I think if I remember, and I'm not going to look at this cheat sheet, but I remember you had to provide 51% of their income.
Correct. Yes.
Or care.
Yes, there is a qualifying test per se on the IRS website. I haven't looked at it in a second. Typically, overview, it's 51% of their. Over 51% or more of their support
to be classified as and then you have to do the actual expenses that you spend in that 51%.
Yes.
If you spend 40 and somebody else spends 60, they get the money.
Right now, I have a client who, his mother qualified as a dependent. She was elderly and ill, and he was taking care of her.
My mother lived with me for years and didn't feel well at 3 or 4. I never thought of that, but she claimed herself. And she had some stuff. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
There's okay, that's good. Okay, so what we're talking about, let me find out. So much stuff on here, folks. Who qualifies as a dependent? 19, 24. There's no age limit if your child is permanently. We talked about that, et cetera, et cetera. Filing requirements. Always better to file. Technically, you only have to file if you've made the standard deduction.
Yep, if you've exceeded the standard deduction.
Which is $25,900?
$25,900 if you're married, and if you're single, it's $12,950.
Okay.
Yep. And typically, it's not the married couple that's not going to file. It's going to typically be your single person. But it's always better to file. It doesn't hurt anything to file.
Well, it helps your Social Security?
Yeah, it helps your Social Security. It also, if you need financing and you go to try to buy a house and they ask for your tax returns and you say, well, I don't file tax returns. Well, it's going to be hard to get that financing. Those banks like to see those tax returns.
Well, somebody who won't file their taxes may not pay their bank payment. That's pretty logical there.
Well, and also, like we saw in the past in 2021 and 2020, if you hadn't filed a tax return, you didn't get those credits. Those were based on your previous year's tax returns.
That's correct.
Those child payments that they were making out, that they were sending out first 6 months, 3 or 6 months of the year, they were doing that for a little while. And then the stimulus payments were based on your tax return.
We're going to take another break, and then I want to know, I hear it every day in restaurants, I eat out almost every day, single mothers with 2 or 3 kids trying to figure out what to do. What are the tax breaks? What do they need to do? Is there a path that helps them? Again, if they don't make more than, we'll set up an example and look at it. Brad, let's take a break.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're going to give a shout out to New York. Phil and Cindy Baker, your grandparents, you brag on to me. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you checking in on your granddaughter, make sure things are going well. But they're in Jamestown?
Yes, they're in Jamestown.
Never left the house. They stayed right there in the community.
They're out and about a lot. But
they are out and about.
Yeah, they're out and about a lot.
Well, that's New York. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah,
we get out and they're in the tundra.
Yes.
Now, up there is so cold, you got to get out.
Yep.
Not a lot in January and February, but you still got to build fires and get your car ready to go and scrape the windows and stuff. So thank you for watching. And we have a mutual friend in Knoxville, who I'm sure she's watching, one of our heroes.
Yep.
Kim Frazier is on the county commission now, right?
Yep.
And I'm having knee surgery, and she's all but assured me that they'll get me through it. You say, what's Kim? Well, Kim's husband's an anesthesiologist, and Kim and I have friends. So if I don't make it back to the show, I want you to find Kim and say, what happened?
I will.
She's the best. I love Kim Frazier. She's the best. All right, guys. If you had to teach a course for an hour or 2 hours, what would be your 3 or 4 most important things that people
Three
need
or
to do?
four most important things.
That people need to do, families need to do.
I would teach the young how to do their tax return, so they know how to do it, the
Early
mechanics
teens?
of it. Yeah, early teens, the mechanics of it, and explain it to them so they understand the difference between federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare. We talk about the importance of contributing to retirement starting very young, before
Most of
you'll
these
ever
kids-
even miss your money.
Most of these kids don't even know how to write a check.
Yeah, they don't.
Everything's electronic
Yeah,
now.
my kids do, I promise you. I think the other thing I would teach them about is going to be just the general personal finances. Understanding that you can't spend more than what you bring in.
Well, good luck with that project.
I know,
I would be
I
ready.
know.
I think if you can get that done, I can get you a major grant to teach other people. Our own government can't do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm not on one
I
side
know.
or the other on that issue. I
Truth.
would be a hypocrite. I mean,
Yep.
we get funded for things that
Yep.
are necessary, but they're still beyond our means. How do you? I have a lot of friends that are waitresses, servers, and people. Those people make $150 a day. Some
Yeah.
more if you go to Fleming's or
Yeah.
somewhere like that.
Yep, yeah.
So they're making. Let's just say they're making $60,000-$70,000 a year.
Yeah.
They're drawing $15,000 in paychecks, another 40 in tips, 50 in
Yeah.
tips.
Yeah.
What is out there for them? What do they need to learn to do that?
So, depending on their income and where they land, how much of their tips they report, because let's be honest, that's a good place to. They don't always report all of their tips.
Isn't there a law though that the restaurant chain has to withhold a percentage of whatever they sell in their shift?
Well, I haven't. No, not that I know
Okay.
of. There's not a law that
Could've
says they
been
have to do that.
I thought if they had, like, if you ring in $1,200, they'll automatically take out $68 for tips or whatever. I don't
Well,
know,
if
maybe.
that's out there, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
one.
well, that's what
that
they told me.
changes so much. Yeah.
And I think it depends on the chain.
Yeah, it does depend on the chain. Some of them just have policies in place that do that. They just say this
That's
is what we're going to do.
That's a hard job to.
Yeah, it's a terror. I did it as a young single mom. I waited tables at the Applebee's in Gatlinburg for years as my second
That's
job.
probably pretty good money.
It was really good money.
Yeah.
I made more money at that job than I did my full-time job some weeks.
That's hard though. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's hard work. There's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I'll say there's the earned income tax credit could potentially be something that a single mom or single parent could qualify for.
Yeah, that was a big deal when I was.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And friends of mine, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's like, I think the good range was like 12 to 26 or something.
Yeah,
And you can get back $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, I've
So
seen.
what is the earned income tax? It's a rewarding you for going to work?
Well, it is for the under the poverty line, basically.
Okay.
So if you're under the poverty line, you get some additional tax credits, and then of course it increases with the dependents.
But I don't think you have to pay
associated.
taxes to get it.
No, you don't have to.
You
don't
file.
You have to file. It does decrease. It does decrease the amount. You have to have an income. You do have to have an income to do it. You can't just.
That's what I'm saying, between
Yeah.
12,000 a year and
Yes,
26.
yeah, you do have to file. You do have to have some income in order to get it. It does limit. You can't, make $8,000 in a year and get $12,000 back and earn income tax credit.
Right.
And you hear people say stuff like that just out and about, but that's not the
true.
case. That is not true. Nope.
Tell me a little bit about senior citizens, now that I have a vested interest in that issue. What do we have are there tax credits available for seniors? Is there different stuff?
There is some additional tax credits for seniors. It's additional 17 $1,700-ish, give or take. I can't remember the
And where does
exact
that come
dollar
from?
amount. So that's on your standard deduction up to a certain point. And I don't have it.
Help me
yeah.
understand that. Now, if I'm working, because we know everybody's working till they're a million now
Yes, they
because of
are.
everything,
Yeah.
and you got grandkids that depend on.
I have
Well,
it right here, I think.
Okay, you got them
I added to my list today.
Okay, well then you're
Okay.
in charge of that. So
Okay.
1,700. But if I'm
Yeah, I
making
believe-
six figures and I don't qualify.
No.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah.
I'll go on with the subject for everybody else, but I was kind of hoping.
So, well, and the Social Security, your Social Security income isn't 100% taxable. So I was
Explain
trying to
that.
find.
Explain that.
Yeah. So I was looking for a good example to bring in here for that. And one of the articles I read said, even if you make $1 million in taxable income, at least 15% of your Social Security income is going to stay tax-free. Now, there's calculators, there's all this complicated calculation by the IRS that determines how much of your Social Security income is
So if I made
taxable.
$30,000 in Social Security income last year, 26 or 8,000 or whatever that number is not going to be taxable.
Depending on the other income that you made.
Oh, there we
So
go.
it goes into the normal calculation of how much income you've made throughout the year, your W-2s, your Schedule Cs. It's all thrown into the same bucket.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
So
quite
basically, it's aimed
complicated.
at people that live on Social Security,
Yeah.
I think, don't you? Or minimal income besides
Yeah.
that.
So it's not going to, if that's really all you're making, the chances of you paying taxes on it are minimal to practically none.
Yeah, because you got your standard deduction and
Yeah,
everything
you got your
else.
standard deduction, you've got your Medicare typically, Medicare is typically withheld from it as well. So that reduces the payment technically.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think here at the same time and look at the next question. So there is no credit, lower taxes for seniors, any kind of thing? You don't see it? Do you see it on state levels or local levels? Or
Well, not
property?
in the state of Tennessee, we don't pay an income tax. As
Yeah.
far as the property tax, I really don't know.
Yeah, it's
In
all
the state
county
of
driven.
Tennessee. I know in the state of New York,
Well, you
they
can get a
do have it.
relief if you'll go to, I don't remember whether it's the property assessor or the register of deeds, but you can
Yeah.
get, I'm pretty sure it's property, you can get a relief. Maybe trustee, actually it's a trustee. Go see Regina Copeland. If you pay a certain amount of taxes on your property and you're over 65, you can get a lower rate.
Yeah.
I don't know how much or what it
Yeah.
is, but
I don't know
a lot
about.
of people don't know about stuff like that.
Yeah. It's good to always look. Is there an office for the aging around here? Do they have that
Yes,
in
but
Tennessee?
I would call, where is the office for aging? I think you can call Mayor Frank's office in Anderson County and see what you can find there. They would be able to guide you. Call Terry or Leanne over there.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know where that goes. Let's talk about deadlines.
Deadlines. Yes.
W-2s, you're supposed to get them by January 31st or have them in the mail or whatever.
They're supposed to be postmarked by January 31st. Same with 1099s.
I'm still getting financial stuff February 15th.
Yeah. Now the financial stuff, the 1099 dividends, the
Yeah.
interest, that sort of stuff
Comes after?
comes after typically. Yeah.
February 15th or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get all that, you merge all
Yeah.
that in there, and you get all done. So I have to file my taxes by Monday, April 18th.
That's correct.
Monday,
Yes.
April 18th, folks.
It's actually
Unless I want an
Tuesday this
extension.
year. It's Tuesday because Monday is Emancipation Day. So it's Tuesday, April 18th this
God, we
year.
got a lot of days.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so Emancipation Day, not to say anything against that. I say the same thing about all days.
Yeah.
But there's just, you think you get to 6 or 8. I don't get President's Day. I respect my presidents, but I don't get that one.
No, I won't.
I see the value in Martin Luther King. I don't see the value in President's Day.
Yeah.
But that's just me. We've had it
Yeah.
since I was born, so I
Yeah.
mean, it's long,
Yep.
I was born a long time ago. So I get that. So anyway, so we're working on the money. I'm trying to get a picture. I'm trying to think like my viewers. You get this money, you get it
Yep.
back. It's
Yep.
due on the 18th. You can file an extension,
Yes.
automatic for extensions. Now, if you owe money on the 18th and you extend,
Then you're
you
going to
better
have.
put a check with your extension.
Yep. Send in a check with your extension, and
What you estimate.
yeah, you just estimate it, and then after that, if you still owe after that, you're going to have to pay interest and penalties on it.
Which isn't a lot.
No, it's pennies. It really is
takes time to
pennies.
get it done.
Yeah, it's
During
pennies.
COVID, hasn't there been kind of general extensions no matter what?
Yeah. I mean,
Nobody said anything to me.
I've seen an uptick in just in extensions in general.
I would say more than half the people extend.
Yeah.
Or say more than half the people over a certain income.
Yes, or those that have businesses that are working through their Schedule Cs. At my office, I've had Connor actually spending a lot of time making sure that we've got everyone's all the way through December done, and then, it's the onslaught of the emails to the clients. What about this? What about this?
I've noticed your emails are picking up. A lot of things like, here's what we're doing, look at this. I mean,
Yep. So
I just send back, I send it to Connor. Send it to Connor.
Yep.
But, that's fantastic. I think the biggest problem with the Internal Revenue Service at this point is their understaffing and their inability to communicate with us.
Yeah, it is.
And the lost people say they change, but they really don't change that often.
No.
I mean, the tax rates and stuff.
No.
In that sense, I mean, look at your other page. I haven't even started on that page. Venmo and PayPal reporting.
Ooh.
You know what I've learned? I used to pay my bills, or I'd order a hat, or I'd order something online. And I used to fill in this Visa stuff, or do this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I can punch PayPal, put my phone number in, it pays
Yep.
it. I like Venmo and PayPal for paying bills and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. But the IRS is now taking it? Or they're talking about it?
Yeah, so technically for 2022, they were going to roll out 1099-Ks for anyone who received $600 or more in payments via PayPal, Venmo, Cash App,
What do you mean
all the
roll
things. So they were going to start sending you a 1099-K if you received $600 or more.
From one person? Period?
Period.
Venmo
as
or
one
PayPal?
person, Venmo and PayPal.
And they didn't do that?
No, they didn't. I think it was just too much for the IRS to handle. The onslaught of all those.
So let's say I probably sent, the
1099-Ks.
two 1099s we sent were Venmo collected.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, because it's easy, I don't have to do the accounting, they do the bookkeeping for me.
Yeah.
I just go back and I get
You
all my
can look at
Venmo
it.
payments and I do it. Now, if I had 2,000, I couldn't do that very easily, but I try to pay everything I can by Venmo.
Yeah. So we don't even know what that's going to look like. So for the business owner like yourself, if you're paying your
Probably
people,
send 5,000 out a year in Venmo.
Yeah.
But birthday gifts and blah, blah, blah. And
so the question that's open right now that I haven't been able to find an answer for is my business owners that typically would send, like we did for your people this year.
Yeah.
We sent them a 1099 from your company. Well, what about next year? Will they get one from Venmo and from you? We don't want to double dip them. We don't want them to get two. So.
Well, there has to be some guidance on that. Is this Venmo, PayPal, 1099 surge coming from them or coming from the IRS?
Coming from Venmo.
Why
the
are
IRS they rolled it out. I don't think it was even the IRS that rolled it out. It might have been something Biden put in place. I can't remember.
What about Bitcoin? How does Bitcoin impact
you? I have no idea.
Nobody ever claims Bitcoin profits or anything?
Not anyone that I've do
So
a tax
I
return
put
for.
1,000 in there and I got 6 now. I made 5. Literally, I'm not saying I did. I'm saying people did.
Yeah.
But nobody tracks Bitcoin.
I have not had a single client, so it hasn't
tell you
forced me to
something.
read up on it yet.
That ain't going to last. I know my government. That ain't going to last. There's too much dark money there.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to figure out a way to tax Bitcoin. Oh, got to go, folks. We're going to take one more break here, and we'll be back.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
Welcome back. We're talking taxes, all kinds of different things. I want to let you know that you can get a hold of Pat O'Connor. Lee, Pat's the dad. I got it now. Lee, you can get a hold of Lee. So slow. You can get a hold of Leanne or her son Connor, 865-294-4792. That's their business and the phone number. Location down in Jackson Square in the small brick buildings. Also, you can reach them at PANDL, profit and loss, Pat, and there's a whole lot of things. But PNL, businessservices.com, PANDL, businessservices.com, and send any kind of inquiry, ask them anything. They're taking some new customers. They're very busy, but I highly recommend you talk to them. And they'll talk to you for free.
Yep.
They won't write anything down, really, you call them, but you're going to talk to them anyway. But they're very accessible. They answer you in one day. So I'm glad to have them on because they have the reputation of being very easy to work with and very smart. What is the possibility? Delayed in 22, report out. What is a K, 1099K? I know what my R is. I know what my other was. What's a K?
So the K is where they report the payments from merchants. So
okay.
You get a 1099K if you take credit cards.
Got it.
Your merchant
I
services.
got it. Okay, that's interesting.
Yep.
All right, so contribute to a traditional IRA. Let's talk about IRAs. Mm-hmm. Now, the big thing when I was younger, besides the telephone, the big thing when I was younger was the Roth IRA.
Yeah.
So I put. The rate's gone up. I can put more than $2,000 in now, right?
Yeah, you can. I can't remember what it's $6,500 somewhere.
That much a year?
Yeah.
So I put in $6,500, and I have to pay taxes. It's out of my taxable income.
Correct.
It's not deductible.
It's not deductible.
But I never pay again.
Correct.
It
far,
grows
yes.
by itself.
Yep.
Unlike my
traditional.
My 401k, where when I withhold money, I had one this year.
Yeah.
I used to draw $10,000,
Yep.
and I paid $2,000 into it. They
Yep.
make me pay $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But so that's where we are on that. I
Yes.
got that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. I just remember another source of income, Connor. I forgot that. Do that other sales consulting thing. I didn't pay taxes on that either. That's a 1099. That's $13,000. Anyway, we're joking around here, but we're serious.
So we're talking about how to lessen the burden a little bit.
I tell you, nothing confuses me more than these health notices I get. Yeah. Every company's got to say whether you're insured or not insured.
Yeah, the 1095.
It's useless.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
So the 1095s are informational now. Back in the Obama days, that was the proof.
They were based as a penalty,
Yes,
right?
They were. Yeah, that was the proof that you had insurance all year round. So now everyone's...
Am I required to have insurance?
Well, not with the IRS you aren't. It doesn't matter. You don't get any penalties.
What's the purpose of sending the information out?
I don't know.
What was the original purpose?
The original purpose was to prove that you had health insurance the whole entire year. Otherwise, you could be assessed those penalties.
Yeah, because they were forcing.
Yes, they were. Yeah, they were trying to force
Obamacare on us and stuff like trying to get everybody insured.
Yep.
The big push for socialized medicine.
Correct. Yep.
I actually, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, I do work with, but it's the weakest issue the Republicans have. Because what's wrong with everybody getting the medicine they need? Democrats
I agree.
tend to have some strength there. A lot of the other issues don't play that way. But health care, I'm very involved in that, and I just think it's important. But at the same time, my sister helped write the TennCare bill in Nashville. She's a pediatric dentist. Mm-hmm. She said it was a disaster. They made no provisions for taking care of providers.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, they just... Yep. So you can't do it unless everybody's taken care of.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's just not a giveaway. It's got to work.
It's got to work.
So
I agree.
we've never had a program that works, at least in my opinion, in that kind of sense. All right, so going over again, $12,950 is the standard deduction you get. If you're a single person and you make $50,000, you're going to get $12,950 off that tax bill. Yep. Plus, before we put the other stuff on it. So we have exemptions and dependents. What's the difference?
The difference between exemptions and dependents?
A dependent is a child or you or whatever.
Yes, a dependent's a child.
And how much is that worth?
$2,000.
Huh?
The dependents are $2,000. That's
tax credit.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I have exemptions. We get $25,900 for a couple.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Then I claim myself.
Yep.
And my wife, but that's part of the $25,900.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So back in the day, before the standard $25,900, it was you, your wife, each kid.
$6,500, $7,500.
Yeah, it was all that stuff. So now that's just a flat $25,900.
That should be easier for the accountant.
Yeah, it's much easier for us. Yeah. Yep.
And it takes everybody under 40, 50,000 basically takes taxes away.
And it takes away from the need to, keep everything to get to your to get to your itemization.
I never did, to be fairly honest with you.
Yeah.
I knew roughly I could recreate if I needed to.
Yeah.
But in the modern age, I pay for everything with credit cards.
Yeah.
All I got to do is have somebody come in and add up all the credit cards and figure out where I paid them. Like we're talking about, I pay for printing and stuff. I may pay $70,000 a year on my Schedule C.
Yeah.
But I can go back and count them, and they'll send me a list of all. They'll push a button, send me a list of all I spent. There's the number.
Yeah.
I just add it to my Schedule C. Not in the old days.
Well, and the problem is though, if you get audited by the IRS and you don't have those receipts, they're going to disallow it. So you got to keep those receipts no matter what.
Whoa, wait a minute. If I've got a schedule from them that says I paid this on this date, that's a receipt.
Doesn't tell you what was on it. What'd you buy? Was it a business expense or was it a personal expense?
I wouldn't do any personal business with a printing company.
But a lot of people do.
I could recreate that. I mean, he's got records of all.
Well, if you're calling your vendor specifically, your guy at the print shop, and he can give you another receipt, you're good.
Yeah.
But it's when you go to Target and you buy office supplies.
I didn't even put office supplies on my Schedule C this year. Well, I guess that I need to send them some money, right? I don't want to overshoot the revenue.
Fair enough.
I try to be fair.
Yeah.
I want to be fair. I want to pay my fair share.
Yeah.
I want to pay my taxes.
Yep.
I want to do what's right.
Yep.
Et cetera, et cetera. So that's interesting. So I go on my card and I've got cable bills.
Yes.
Now that's probably a little different because
that's pretty easy.
I'm not going to.
You can pull that. Yeah.
I can just send the commercials for each one.
Yeah.
But I got the cable, and then I got that, and then I got newspaper ads that are easy to pull.
Yeah, that's easy to pull. It's the Target, the Staples. It's deciphering. The IRS is going to want to decipher between personal and business.
Sure.
If you don't have the receipt, you have no way to prove that it wasn't personal.
What if you write off your wireless service?
Your wireless service?
You're using it for business and personal.
Yeah, you can do that.
You just have to figure out how you do that?
Yeah.
Like I have cable, which I use like for this show and other things.
Yeah.
But I don't write it off because the majority of the use of cable and Netflix is personal.
Yeah.
So stay out of it.
With your home office, definitely you would.
But wireless at my home, I write it off.
Yeah.
Because I need it to do computer work and everything else.
Yep. See, I have an office, so everything in my office is written off 100%, obviously.
You know, it won't let me take a home credit. I did in the beginning, I would do like 800 square feet of my home I'd use for office, but I haven't been able to write it off lately. You don't qualify.
Yep. There's a lot of that. If you don't have enough net income, they'll disallow it. And it's pretty risky.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's pretty risky too. A majority of the audits that I've seen over the years are related to a home office deduction.
But they're going to have an audit. I guess it's a paper mail audit.
It's a paper mail. Yeah,
But I was
most
going
of
to
them
say,
are
who's going to
mail
spend money on a $600 deduction?
now. No. Yeah.
Of course, some people probably are in the 20,000 range. They
Yeah.
do
Some of them
1,000
overshoot that.
What are the let's talk red flags across the board.
Red flags.
You're filling out your, she's going to tell you, what will the machine kick you out for?
That home office deduction.
Let me go back to that. Everything the IRS gets pretty much is a machine.
Yes, absolutely.
Then they're coded, they're pre-programmed basically to kick you out if you have, like I asked you that one time.
Yeah.
I do a lot of meals with clients.
Yeah.
You said you better keep it under 10% or 5% or something.
Yep. Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
But the point is, that's a red flag. That's what I'm talking about. What kind of things? You have to be careful that these things aren't over. What? Describe it.
So the number one thing is don't be greedy with your deductions anyways. If you never have any profit on your business forever, it's going to be a problem. They're going to wonder what's going on. That's going to
I went
shoot a
4 or
flag
5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
I think the last couple of years I made a few $100s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I never had a lot of loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd lose 6,000, 8,000, something.
Yeah. Going to be the home office deductions, and then excessive mileage, depending on the type of business you are. You know, they can look at your NACS code, and an accountant, myself, they wouldn't expect to see 80,000 miles on my tax return.
See, what I do, let's say I put down
stuff
20,000 miles. This is hypothetical, not me.
Yeah.
But you put down 20,000 miles. To me, you have to be able to justify 70 miles a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much it is until you try to drive 70 miles a day.
Yeah.
It's a
And
lot.
not on Sundays. But if you go to Chattanooga once a week,
Yeah.
and you go to D.C.
Yeah.
once a month in a
Yeah.
car,
Yeah.
and you do other things,
Yep.
it adds up fast.
It does add up.
Like our big thing, like when we're installing signs or doing work on the field, we can do $200-300 in a day.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. If I write my car off, and we're going to take one more break.
Yeah.
If I write my car off and ask you, what's the vehicle, what's the registration, it tracks that vehicle. If I've got 2 or 3 vehicles that I'm using, do I have to, it wants me to list everyone independently for 2 miles here, 3 miles here. That's crazy.
It is crazy. So the way around that, the easiest way around that is
Add them
instead
all
of,
up and call it one vehicle. Tell me, Connor.
or just reimburse yourself for mileage, and then you don't have
Yeah.
to monkey around with that. A lot of times that's what a lot of us do. That's what I do personally.
Who do you reimburse yourself from, the company?
Yeah. Yep.
But as your Schedule C, there's no difference.
Yeah. Well, you can take the mileage expense instead of having to prove it and have all these, these charts and.
That's what I do. I just
Yeah.
take the 27 cents or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or 63 cents.
Yep. So I do an expense reimbursement form for myself, for my business every month. And it's official. It's an actual form. I write down where I went, who I went to see, and I just reimburse myself for the mileage.
Let's do a quick 2 minutes. How many minutes do we have left?
About 3 minutes left.
All right, then I'm going to go ahead and talk about my sponsors real
All
quick.
right.
That'll be just as good. Daniel Forrester, attorney in Clinton, great man. Go see him if you need help. Chancery work, juvenile work, everything. Daniel and Chrissy do a great job there on Main Street in Clinton. IB3, Global Solutions. That's just what they've done for Oak Ridge to contribute to Sean Gleason and his staff is incredible. And Oak Ridge Utility District just helps a lot. They reach out. And I appreciate Sasha and the staff over there helping sponsor our show, and they do a great job at Oak Ridge Utility District. I'm missing somebody, right? I'm always missing somebody, but that's okay. We are getting ahead. We're doing things. Oh, my boys at Fan Gear. Listen, sports stuff, historical stuff, Phillies from the 50s, Braves from the 90s, everything. Right across from the hospital in Security Square, there is a Fan Gear bar. I thought a buddy of mine runs a company, and he grew up in Philadelphia, and I said, go down there and look at the Phillies stuff. They got stuff from all over. So please take time to go buy Fan Gear over there. And in closing, just make sure you get your taxes done right. It's much easier for her to do them. I paid TurboTax as much as I pay her to do my taxes because I had so many different things I'm doing this. I still do all my own research, but then I give it to, I'd say, here you go, Connor, take it. And then he inputs everything, and then I'll answer questions. But you need help. You need to get somebody to help you that knows what they're doing, who can point out things that may be red flags. Any other red flags? What else we got?
That's
Mileage?
pretty much mileage. mileage, the vehicle deductions is usually a red flag. That's about it,
If
really.
you go,
Your meals. Yeah.
if you go personally, if you take the 25.9, you're out of the game, right?
Yep, you're out of the game.
Nobody cares.
Yep.
But on your Schedule C, they've got basically built-in limits where they're worried about if it goes excessive or over excessive.
Not really. Not that I've seen. Of course, I haven't seen anyone get to those. So it's
But
just.
your point is, if I have a revenue of 120,000, which is
Yeah.
relatively small,
Yeah.
and I have meals of 27,500,
That's a problem.
well, they're going to throw a flag.
Yeah,
they
they
may
are.
get you. They may not get you.
Yeah. Yep. That's going to be a problem.
Is it a random selection on audits from the machines, or do they audit
It's
everybody?
supposed to be.
So if the machine throws out 5 or 10%, they don't call everybody?
I don't know.
Yeah, either
I
do
don't know. I don't know.
Do the right thing, folks.
Yep.
Pay your taxes. Get organized. We appreciate you watching Between the Lines. We'll be back next week with another live show. And then the week after that, Wendy will be back for a couple of shows. We're going to have Junior Achievement on one week. We've got other people coming. Ponderosa Zoo coming on the 16th of March, bringing an animal. That little
cool.
thing in, I can't remember that little animal in Gaspar, but they got one of these little ones.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Leanne,
Thank you.
for coming.
I appreciate
Get
it.
your
Thank
taxes
you.
done.